I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Designing for enterprise. So I'll just quickly go over like why enterprise design, what are the considerations, how it differs from uh, what we do is non-enterprise when you're working with B2C rather than B2B. And I mean, you know the basics, so I'll just quickly go over all of it, design considerations, visual UI, what are the common design patterns, and we just go through all of that one by one. So see, yeah, this actually enterprise design became hot after the COVID, luckily, like not fortunately or unfortunately, it's like a golden. Most of the service companies around that time really saw a burst of clients. Like even as a freelancer, when I was doing freelance, they just couldn't get like enough people to work on these products because of remote work and all that. So now, enterprise businesses generally work with problems like with government or industries. These problems generally require a specific kind of mindset. It's not like the skills are very different. They are though, but mostly because of in enterprise the scale and the complexity is very different, very large. So even when you're working on enterprise, right? As a freelancer, you can do like some zero, like a new feature or some 0 to 1 creating a feature set or a product. But what I found was like because it's a very complex ecosystem, so it takes years and years to master, to learn all the different aspects. Like there are rabbit holes, like and other kind of ambiguous things that you will not realize unless you are extremely familiar with that industry and how things work, or you are familiar with that tool or that set of tools themselves. So, but so it's very easy, and there's like an infinite variety. So it can be enterprise tools related to anything conceivable. So HR, like even recently, I was talking to um, enterprise designer at Agoda. So Agoda is like a travel and like software, like a hospitality company where you just, but every time that the user interacts with the system, let's say you make a booking. So that reservation that has been made for a particular hotel that goes to the backend, to the front desk of uh, the hospitality like property. Let's say it's a small, 10-bed small homestay or small property. So again, there will be a ton of data management, and so every time, even when we interact with B2C products, there is generally, or let's say Swiggy, something like Swiggy or Zomato. So in the backend, there is a lot of complexity where the vendors interact with the data, which we consumers don't generally see. So it's not like enterprise design only works in a B2B context. All the B2C products themselves have B2B teams or internal teams which are integrated, as well as the internal tools they're using. So again, like I said, because of the startups and the work from home, a lot of demand for it. And why I personally really enjoy B2B design compared to B2C, because it's very complex work. It really, as a designer, you are not constantly focused on just selling or conversion or user conversions or sales. So this allows you to really focus on some complex user tasks and kind of build onto that. So now, what is enterprise UX? Of course, generally, it caters to certain businesses, right? So the whole IT industry is filled with software that users uh, uh, before, let's say 5, 10 years back, that the software is not very intuitive, that the users are hate. For example, in my previous company, I was using uh, essentially, since it's a service company, we were using, I don't remember the name, but it was a billing software, like which you use to bill clients, and it's like a timesheet, but it was so unintuitive. It was ultimately our company decided that they would build their own. It had become big enough that they decided to build custom tool. And the one they were using was extremely unintuitive, extremely lot of duplication of effort. But again, this is like the enterprise or B2B timescales are generally in years, not months. So not always, but generally. And generally, when their employees use, they have their internal tools, and organizations tend to invest less time and money. Practically, that is how it works. So enterprise UX is when we are designing and creating software for businesses, employees, where you have to take the business tasks or the task analysis that you like that job is supposed to do, which you are kind of recreating in the user flow, and of course the users themselves. So HR software, onboarding, reach outs, like anything, like pretty much um, everything, like I said, not just B2B companies, but B2C companies also, there will be enterprise backend. Now, compare it to normal UX. See, users are not general users. They are like specific, generally experts, at least in that limited domain. So they'll be company employees, the company clients, merchants, like I said, vendors who want to conduct their business activities in the backend, Swiggy, Zomato, any Amazon, they want to manage their listings, etc. And generally there is also a learning curve. So enterprise users have been taught. It can be maybe just a 1 hour onboarding, or it can be like a whole month of training, depending on the complexity. But the enterprise users have to be taught. So it's like makes their life easier. Now user roles. There are Okay, for enterprise generally, there are different tiers of access. Like not everyone needs to have access to all the details. So there will be limitations in terms of feature sets they can access, or certain journeys which will be limited to those with. So you always, when you are making that software, this user roles, different tiers of access, all that has to be considered. And again, so that initial, even before you start the project, a lot of research or not documentation, but like you have to figure out like all the users, what product features will be accessible to which, how to manage those different access sites, etc. Uh, Data intensive. See, like in enterprise, generally they are dealing with complex data sets, lot of data. So you have to get into the mindset of working with large quantities of data, and also you have to keep updated to newer data table UX design patterns. That is also very important. So like looking cool, or like looking, now there is a trend of having B2C design elements or simplification into enterprise tools. uh, While it's fine, but it's not as important as, let's say, the system architect, like the architecture itself. And historically, if you use older enterprise software, like Tally and all that, very tends to be ugly visually, and tends to be little bit not the easiest to use. Again, because certain tasks are there, it creates a lot of friction if a major feature or a core feature element or a user journey is changed. So you cannot do experimentation in testing. You can do it maybe in a beta environment, like a limited sense, but you cannot change major flows. So you will see that maybe Slack from 4 5 years ago is, well, a lot of things have been added, feature sets. The core feature set will still remain the same. Again, because you don't want to add cognitive load for the users. Feel free to like interrupt or like add in anything you want. So no worries. Now, again,
Sure,
so
sure,
yeah,
Rash. Yeah, go ahead. So,
no, go on, go on. Like again, like I said, the advantage of having just the two of us is like we can take the time to,
that's right. So here the aesthetic matters, but in like not that major
yeah, it should be
part
a,
when it
yeah,
comes to just we need to like kind of balance the functional and aesthetic point of view.
yes, yes.
I
But
think, I think
functional
so.
takes
Yeah.
priority. Yes.
Exactly. Right.
Right. Again, because it's not that when you are practically when you will be working on enterprise, like there will be like extreme budget and time considerations because it is complex. Like it's like 3 month or 6 month, 1 year feature, like creating that. So again, there will be a lot of different competing features that different people are working on. So it's again generally visual. There won't be that. I mean, there never is enough time to finish everything, but generally visual design takes a backseat in that. Again, like I said, visual design is not as important. We preempted that.
Right.
Um, okay, I think yeah, yeah. So it's just essentially making the work efficient for the employees. So they have to. I personally don't want to look at an ugly interface whole day, or like when I'm working for 5, 6 hours on the screen. So it's like visual design also, though historically it is considered secondary, it should also be given some consideration, especially when you're working on uh, mobile versions of tools like enterprise tools. Now, common enterprise design patterns, again, basic principles are the same, the design process, etc. But certain things we need to know. So instead of like, I'll just go through the design patterns themselves. So again, we went through a
Right.
few of those elements like visual design versus architecture versus flows, task analysis. So we'll go through a few of these things we already. Again, task analysis means you have to really get into the mind of the user, that employee or that client or that vendor or merchant who is working on that, understand the offline use, like if before how they were doing it manually or what kind of tools or flows, and really break down that task analysis and use. Only once you have that like user journey task analysis, only then you can. So you'll be dealing with a lot of complex workflow diagrams. So I'm not going into detail there, and it's like it will be a talk in itself, but it's important to
Right.
understand that. Now, dashboards we can get into. Again, if you go on, you just Google or you go on Dribble, you see a lot of visually, like most people nowadays, dashboards is or data visualization is like making it look cool. And unfortunately, like a lot of designers also fall on that bandwagon. I personally doesn't matter that much whether you're using some, uh, let's say, certain aesthetic or design trends. But I think the functionality again is much more important. So, um, and there is an Interaction Design Foundation course on data visualization. It's very good, because they talk about the history of data visualization. So there is one data visualization from I think 150, 200 years ago, back when Napoleon was, the Napoleon's armies march and all that whole flow. It was very fascinating, that example that they, it's one of the oldest recorded data visualizations that we have. So,
Interesting.
so again,
Is it on the intermediate level course or is it a basic
maybe,
course?
but it is no, it is not basic level, but it is not technically intermediate. Like it's once you know the basic
Mm.
skills and you've been working for 2, 3 years, and
Mm-hmm.
especially for you, it's not. I don't think you will find it challenging. It is like very quick and easy. Just go through it.
Understood.
Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Now,
Mm.
dashboards have only few functions. Like it's very easy to get all like complex and get overworked. But what the user wants to know is what is my current state. Um, let's say I have a restaurant and I am getting orders from Swiggy. So I just need to know essentially what is the state of the orders, whether they've been delivered, whether that payment has gone through, and what is my current state. Or like I at my hotel, there are 200 rooms which are booked right now. There are 50 which are empty. There are 30 which are undergoing cleaning or maintenance. There are 3 or 4 which are out of the order. This is like just the current state, recent activity. So, okay, so I know that 4 of my employees are working on uh, cleaning, let's say the housekeeping tasks. So what is the update on that? So once that update is done, only then those rooms can be marked as active, either by the staff themselves or by someone at the front desk or the manager. So what is the current activity and what is the results of it? The goals. Okay. So let's say my goal is to get. So generally in hotel industry, I've worked in that. So we uh, occupancy percentage. So let's say there is an average occupancy percentage of 80% I need or that is my goal for this month. So based on those goals, what are the tasks and activities I can do? And again, using the right data visualization element. So this is important. So this is a little bit where you can go into complexity. There are different ways to visualize different kinds of data. Again, that course is very good when you should use what kind of data visualization element. So, and I'll just go over a few of those. And I think, yeah, colors. So, colors is also important because of the semantic colors that we use. So, you have to, a lot of times you will see, for example, here, people use that brand elements or the brand colors. You can see it's simpler to put just a couple of colors, uh, like one brand color, one will be the default dark, one will be the default disabled or low. So again, you can see in this dashboard on the left, there are some cards. So essentially, it's like highlights or data cards. Uh, Again, you can zoom in, zoom out, move things around nowadays. Like this is, I think, Microsoft Power BI. So you can move different charts and elements around and different types of visualization. Not very complex, but just everything needs to have cards and patterns. And this is an example, I think it is dark mode, but you can see that I would say this is a example of it looks good, like for the layperson, but if you look at it from the eyes of a UX designer, it's not very good in terms of just the visibility of the cards, the color combination. You can just see a lot of issues in this. For example, in the right-hand side, you have these pie chart or the so again, instead of having just the mono color, like monocolor scheme, it's better to have different semantic colors here rather than just focusing on the brand. Again, generally, if you have a dashboard, you don't want to have a table on it. It's kind of redundant, even though that table is not something which is editable. You want to have a simpler way to uh, show that. Give me a second. Just give me a second. Mm, Yeah, data tables. So again, data tables are probably very important, most important aspect. Again, it's a very complex topic. We can keep going into it, but generally it is there's like series of columns. Now in this case, you can see that it's a very simple. They have instead of having contextual ordering in the columns where you can sort, they've hidden the details like in the um, inside the customized columns button. Again, it's not the best example, but it's a simple example of design. Sorry, system is having a little bit of freezer. Again, you can see there is a lot of data you'll be working. So you want to have certain elements of the tables are constant. There is the top bar, there is the search. Now, most of the search now has been replaced with like a faceted search system. So it should be search. sort, and filter. I didn't get time to find a good example. It's there, like pretty much you can find it, any enterprise tool. So you want to use the faceted search, and that is a very, very important um, data pattern, like feature that you want to use in your tables, data tables. So it's faceted search includes like contextual search, but when you start searching for terms, it will show a list of suggestions. And again, you can have chips, which will help you kind of drill down into that data. That drilling down is very important, where you want to find by certain status, certain priority, or you want to find it only which is assigned to a certain team. So again, or certain date range. So again, table becomes very important. User roles. Again, we've gone into user roles. That's not much more to go into that, but there will be different levels of access rights. So one thing I want to like, there are user access management and there are the user role management. So user role will be, let's say, admin, IT, employee, manager, like there'll be hierarchy. But in within that, again, there are individual users. So every user, even at the employee level, will have access to different department, different user flows, different user journeys, feature sets. So these are two. So a lot of time, what happens is user management, and people mix it with user roles. The roles are some larger groupings or sets of use cases, and within that, there can be any numbers of users, and that user management will be there. Now, customer support. And this generally, historically, is not talked about in enterprise, but now you have chatbots. So again, originally there was a simple FAQ. So you go through the help and you find out whatever you need to. There is one level of support for paid products will be live support, where you have access to like a customer. Now that is being reduced because first a level will be they'll be interacting with a chatbot, and then it will be escalated to live support. And again, contextual training is again, you can have tooltips or you can have that information buttons, icons, where user can hover on it and get additional data on what that functionality is. And sometimes you have an overlay, like a new feature set has been added. You can onboard users like a quick 3 or 4 screen step onboarding on the new feature set right within the first time when they use that. So again, infinite number of examples. I didn't get time, but it's very simple. You see 5 or 6 examples, you know, and generally it is comes under user onboarding or feature onboarding, that skill. And enterprise design consideration. So again, it's complexity of users and the workflows, task analysis, very important. Integration with existing systems. So generally, if a new feature set, or even a new product, it will need to uh, pull data from other systems and push data onto other systems. So it has to be integration. So this is like a bit high level when you'll be working with the PMs or the business analyst or stakeholders, internal stakeholders. These are things that kind of you will high level you will have to interact. Data security and compliance again, and it's the scale and the customization. So because there is so much scale of that product, like just a dashboard itself, you want to give the users a way to customize it to make a modular dashboard according to their needs, or show only the data sets or like certain range of data that they are working on at this. So that is like, again, cognitively, it is not creating a lot of issues because you want to manage all that information density. We go a quick design consideration. Complexity and information density, because compared to B2C, extremely complex information, extremely high information density. So you want to give users some way to drill down into that data and to make good use of that information. Again, uh, B2C, you can be more creative, you can be more flexible, you can experiment a little bit. With enterprise, anytime you make a change, it will create a lot of changes in the metrics which or the data which they're tracking. We'll go into that next. Brand identity, consistency, and data visualization. This is just from the visual perspective. And yeah, navigation and hierarchy. Again, complex user flows, you want to find a way to manage it well. To learn. Okay, quickly. Best way is any industry you are interested in, find the top five solutions or three solutions, and break down what they're doing. And that is the best way I think I found, like breaking down. Another thing is you will be working with enterprise clients. Generally, these are long design cycles, long product cycles. So you have to be in that mindset of we are not pushing anything on them. Like B2C, we are not trying to get them to take a certain action. We are trying to find out what they want, what their workflow is. And and you are essentially working as a expert, like a uh, trusted advisor, and you want to give them good advice based like for what things can be done, what changes can be made to essentially improve their metrics. Again, if there is a certain industry that you're familiar with, or you found that certain industries such as construction is getting there, but hospitality has traditionally been very averse to software or like good software. Now it has changed last 3 4 years, especially after COVID. And yeah, stakeholder management. So again, so you want to find out the workflows of the users, but then you have to sell it to the top management who might not know that the day-to-day challenges that so you are kind of also have to act like a bridge between the employees who are working on the software and the stakeholders. Quickly go over KPIs. Since you are talking about tasks, right? So it's everything is about task completion, task management. So you are not looking at user conversion, but time on task. Let's say there is a metric a user has to complete. Let's say it's a order fulfillment. Order came in, the user comes in, the vendor fulfills that order, and how much time it takes. So the time on task, if you can improve even marginally, let's say even by few seconds, even let's say 10 seconds you save, but over hundreds of thousands of repetitions of those orders, over hundreds of vendors, that really builds up to a lot of improvement. Task success rate. Again, if a user is trying to complete a task and you find that in the data tool, you find that for whatever reason, at a certain point, users keep dropping off. That means task is not successful. Um, then you have to kind of focus on improving those metrics. And NPS, that is like a simple survey, not a survey, but when you rate it from 0 to 10, as the employees or like whoever users are working on it, that is the net promoter score. So that also is an important, even for like normal design also. And business, how it compares to the OKRs. Let's say that business group or that business team will have certain OKRs they have to meet that reduce time on task by X percentage or improve task success rate. But they will have to essentially, it will be revenue related, either related to revenue, like making more money, saving more money, retaining users, not converting users. So that is all how design can be used. Let's say you find that a lot of people do the trial for the B2B software, but they don't convert. It could be a possibility that the onboarding is not smooth enough or it is too challenging to use. So you can use design to improve on these business metrics such as revenue, etc. So I think I've covered all of it. I think I don't think from an enterprise perspective I have left out anything. So Akram, you can like feel free to like jump in. We have only 2.5 minutes now, so we'll wrap up. And please, if you can drop in your LinkedIn in the chat, I'd appreciate it. I'll connect with you there.
Sure, yes. I
Yeah,
think it's obviously for if somebody is a new beginner who looks at this the presentation, definitely they would
yeah.
get a lot of insights,
For you, I
right?
think it
Because
was
when I started,
maybe just a
yeah,
refresher. I
it's
think for you.
yeah, it's more of a refresher for me.
Yeah.
But I am like obviously complexity and information density is something we have to very much keep in mind when we come into interface. I mean,
Yeah,
B2B context,
yeah,
because I believe stakeholder management and the information density is the major part
yeah,
uh, when we start to design.
yeah.
Like I
Information
said, I'm just
density,
trying to.
that, yeah, faceted search is the most important design pattern you have to, and there is so many variants of it, and so much can be done.
Right.
So that is, I think, the most important, working with tables also. And second is, I would suggest there is a book called UX Team of One, the UX
UX
Team
team
of
of one.
One
Yeah.
by Leah Bully. I think that has very good treatment, very simple treatment of stakeholder management.
Hmm. I sent you a request. Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
It's enough one. Yeah.
even now, like even after 5, 6 years, I still use it as a reference book. It's so useful.
That's nice.
And
Right.
UX management strategy. There is a course on IxDF. Again, very good course. It
Yes.
talks
That one
about a
I
lot of
finished it.
things. Yeah, yeah. Again, so there is
Like
infinite amount of things. Yeah,
not only like at least I don't know, since you are doing as a freelancer, you would have worked you already worked on a company as well. So right now
yeah,
within my role, like the expectation is sky high. It's not only about journey flows and design. Rather, they want more of a
yeah.
business input. Plus, now since with all the AI advancement, they are asking us like, how can you implement these AIs
Got it.
into automation workflow into our softwares, those kind of inputs.
So,
So
Akram,
those are all I think,
the meeting will stop because it's 40 minutes. So I'll just
yep.
drop off and join back. Like I'll just cut it and
Okay.
join back. We can just talk for 2, 3 minutes more.
Hmm.
Okay. I'll just end it
Sure,
and
sure,
I'll just do.
definitely.